If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey guys, welcome back to another Weird Wednesday. I'm Ashers, and this is
Pat O.
Pat O. How's your weekend?
How was my weekend? My weekend was pretty good because I was not in the hospital, unlike the previous week that I spent hospitalized
Sure.
for congestive heart failure. And it sucked. My recovery had been going well up until about 2 weeks ago when I started to feel fatigued. And naturally, I thought it was COVID because that's what we do. Every time we get
Yeah.
even a little bit sneezy or winded or anything these days, we think that it's COVID. And once I kind of found out that it wasn't COVID, got my ass to the doctors and walked into the doctor's office and ended up being wheeled out directly into the ER because they would not let me go home. I was so fucked up. So if you listen to last week's CryptoCasters March Madness special, I, obviously was participating in it at this very literally at the same time of getting my kidneys fucking ultrasounded. I spent Wednesday through Friday in the hospital and then got sent home with a whole slew of new medication and this really cool vest that I have to wear that will shock me back to life should I experience cardiac arrest. The real question is what happens if I experience cardiac arrest while fucking my wife? Will I shoot lightning bolts out of my dick into her? Stay tuned and find out. Hopefully I'll remember to fucking scream Pikachu as I zap her one. But yeah, that's it. And it's been a lot of fun too because I'll fake heart attacks around the house and grab for people, and they all back away from me with their eyes wide, like, "Oh no, he's gonna get fucking shocked." Because that's the thing is that like if I do have like a heart attack or something, this thing kicks in and like zaps me back. But it's a fucking like getting kicked by a horse. Like it's a pretty big hit. So, you got to warn people, like, don't touch me. Don't touch dad. If dad drops to the ground, get the dogs back. Because a lot of times, and this is what they told me when they were outfitting me for the vest, a lot of times people's dogs will go towards them when they hit the ground. And then the dogs get electrocuted.
Aww.
Talking about adding insult to industry. I'm sorry, injury. not only did you just have a fucking heart attack, but we nuked your dog at the same time.
Wow.
So
this
yeah,
thing will automatically kick into place if you have a heart attack or if it needs. I mean, it does it by itself.
Yes, it's an external defibrillator. It's a vest that I wear that actually it's like a bra, right? And it's got like the bra hooks. And then when the chick was like outfitting me for it, she's like, "So how these work is?" I'm like, "I know how a fucking bra works." Like these snaps are kind of hard to do. I'm like, "Not for me." All right, I could do this upside down, backwards in the dark on acid. I could take a fucking bra off of my tongue. I'm like, "Don't worry about it. I got this fucking thing." But
you should have been like, "No, ma'am. Let me show you.
let me show you how fucking this thing works." Yeah, I have to wear it like all the time. And it does two things. Number one, it monitors my vitals and then sends them back to my cardiologist for when I go in for my next appointment. And then number two, outside of that, like I could be in a cave and independently, it works as a monitor. And if it senses that my heart's doing whatever it shouldn't be doing, it goes into alarm. And then if I don't disable the alarm, it zaps me.
Oh.
So sometimes it goes into alarm and people aren't necessarily like unconscious yet. Like their heart's fucking with them, but they're still like cognizant. And so that's why you can disable it. I don't know necessarily if I do that because I think I just want to take the hit and see what it feels like. But the idea is that if you're still conscious, you don't necessarily need the jolt. I don't know. But yeah, so I got to wear this thing like 23 hours a day. I'm supposed to just take it off when I shower and that's it. And
very cool.
Well, kind of. It's kind of a pain in the ass. It's like, I don't know, like wearing a retainer. It's like, yeah, I'll be really good about wearing it. And then like I took it off this morning for like 3 hours just because I didn't want to have it on, because it gets itchy and shit.
Yeah. Well, that's true. That's a good point. I mean, eventually it's just got to become a second skin to you, and it will. You'll get more used to it the more you wear it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I'm not. I mean, hopefully I get better and I don't need it to
Yeah.
wear it. I mean, long term, what they would do is actually install one inside of me, which is too body horror. Like when I was doing the whole dialysis thing, I don't know how much I talked about it, but like it's very like Cronenberg to be part of like to get like dialysis done. It's very body horror to have like these ports like hanging out of your body that like they plug these fucking tubes into and shit. And it's not as cool as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I like seeing body horror in movies. I don't like being a part of it. And the same thing with the with the if I get like internal defibrillator, like it seems really gross and invasive, and the fact that I would have like wires and shit, like I don't know, I'd rather avoid that. But hopefully, one of the biggest thing that I can do, that I have to do to kind of like recover is basically like get new hobbies. And it's not about like not having pizza as much as it is about like not working two jobs and have like my own company where I do like general contracting on the side. And the podcast is safe, don't worry. When I'm fucking dead, I will stop doing this thing. But like, you know, a lot of other shit that like, us, like we always take on stuff for like,
Yeah. Sure.
it's just kind of who we are. And and I was talking to my sister about it because like I don't even, I don't even like just go to church on Sunday like a normal person. I go to church and I run their streaming service.
Yeah.
Like it's not I can't even just fucking sit there like every other asshole and just like listen to what the guy has to say and then go home. No. I got to come in and do the sound and the multi-camera setup and fucking stream everything on YouTube and Facebook for everyone else in the world.
Right.
Like that's just who I am. And it's cool at times, but it's like kind of starting to catch up with me where like you can't just like live your whole entire life with your foot slammed on the gas, like pushing forward, living in the red, you know. I mean, Asher's like before you met me, I used to live my life 1/4 mile at a time. And now that I'm like kind of getting up there in the years, I gotta slow it down a little bit. And
I feel like that's kind of been a theme for a lot of people. A well-known researcher, Lyle Blackburn, he had like an incident.
I know who he is. We
Yeah,
were on a
you do. Yeah, you know Lyle. Well, a lot of people do. But he had a kind of a physical incident, and then and somebody else did too. But my kind of eye opener happened just yesterday when our buddy Aaron D sent me a message. I think he was talking to Jordan from Campfire Tales of the Strange, and I can't remember the last word to that. But anyway, Jordan Heath, he has a great show, and I can never remember it. I'm so sorry. But anyway, they were talking, and they were talking about me because they were talking about I sent the Infinite Rabbit Hole people over to talk to Aaron because I feel like the main guy, Jeremy, and Aaron would make really good friends. And Aaron sent me a screenshot of their conversation, and they were talking about how fucking baffled they were that I did over 8 hours of content with those guys. They were like, when were they able to schedule you for this? Because you're busy all the time. I was like, oh, well, the fact that other people notice that I'm a workhorse tells me that I probably should not work as much. And I've been trying not to, but
not at all.
at the
I think
same
first of
time,
all, you're 10 years younger than me,
I
so fuck
am.
you. Go do the work. When you're 40, you can think about slowing down. You know what I mean?
But I
Like,
don't want to be 40 and getting open heart surgery.
yeah, I hear that.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't
Yeah,
want to make that I should take care of me, and I don't
yeah,
take care of me a lot.
you don't fuck up those titties, man. I'm telling you. Fucking get a slice mark right down the middle of them.
Right, I'll ruin them forever. I mean, if
There goes your plan B. Shit.
if pregnancy and being 30 didn't ruin them already, but
Right.
no, it's just something that to think about because your best defense against things like this is to prevent it to begin with, right? Taking care of yourself is extremely important, and not that there's anything wrong with you, Pat. Well, obviously, I'm not going to say there's nothing wrong with you because there is. I mean, you're in this position, but you can fix it. You got time to fix it now. But for anybody else that may be listening to the show and maybe you do the same shit, maybe you should slow down. Maybe you should take it easy.
Yeah, stress is it's a very real thing, but it's also very intangible. There's like no,
And stress isn't just like bad stress. Like
it's just weird because like it's not like, dude, if they told me, hey, quit drinking pop, quit using salt,
right.
don't eat so much cheese, you eat low sodium cheese and you'll be fucking fine. I, all right, but it's not that. It's like, listen, you have to stop pushing yourself and sleeping 5 hours a night and doing all this stuff and living this fucking tightrope that you walk, that you insist on walking, where you've got 2 kids, 2 baby mamas, 2 fucking dogs, a real job, a fucking general contracting company, a fucking podcast. You're trying to write this, you're trying to work on that, you're making
Right.
movies, you're doing this, and it's like you have to stop doing that. And it's like, well, that's me. How do I
Right.
stop being me? And then is it worth it to stop being me? Because if I start taking those things away, and let me put it like this: I'm not going to take away my fucking kids. Unfortunately, it's
Right.
not like, well, I guess they're gone, and I'm going to keep doing the filmmaking thing because that's what makes me happy and gives me a sense of identity. No, unfortunately, I have to keep the kids and the fucking animals around. You know, you have to look at like what is essential. There's only so much room in the life draft, and
Yeah.
you can't do everything and try everything and be everything. And you and I have talked about this, that maybe there's some of the quality of what I do suffers because I try to do so many things. Maybe if I try to do fewer things,
Yeah.
the fewer things I did would
Right.
turn out better, instead of everything having this rushed half-ass feel to it. So it's
Right.
crazy, man. I'm going through like physical stuff that but there's a real big like philosophical and emotional side to it too, where I'm really like starting to, when I first got the open heart surgery done, me and you were, I remember like one of the first times I talked to you afterwards, and you asked me like what was it like having to embrace your own mortality or whatever. And I was just like, I didn't. What the fuck are you talking about? Like none of it, like how close I came to death or what could have happened. None of that registered to me at the time. All right, now it is. You know what I mean? Now I'm really starting to think about like, you know, what if you only have X amount of whatever left? And what's it going to be like? I don't want to, as much as I bust my wife's balls on the podcast, I don't want to make her a fucking widow
Yeah. Sure.
anytime soon. Like, she doesn't deserve that shit. Same thing with my kids. Like, yeah, they're all right, but I don't want them to be fucking orphans.
You can still get another
Um,
40 years out of your life. It's America in 2022. I mean,
I don't want that. Give me 20. Give me 20 and the occasional bump. How about that? Can we fucking compromise?
you can still be cool when you die.
Can I get this in writing? Can I get like, how about 15, 2 more Edwards 40 hands parties, and another fucking 8 ball spread out over the next 15 years in random little places here and there. I'll settle for that,
That's the bargain. Yeah.
you know.
Jesus. Well, do you feel, because and I have somewhere I'm going with this, but you were talking about getting the machinery put in you there, and we've talked about to great length of your dialysis and things like that, the body horse stuff. Are you squeamish to that stuff after going through it?
Yeah, and I didn't think I would be, because it's kind of like I don't know. It's more invasive and traumatic, but not
Hmm.
like in a fucking way that everyone uses that word. I mean, literally like trauma inducing
Right.
than I think people give it credit for. And you know, your body is kind of like your own little balloon for like your soul. Get real. I haven't done drugs in a very long time. This is just how I talk sometimes. But like your body is kind of like your own little capsule of like you.
Yeah.
And when you have things sticking out of it or like attached to it or running through it, it feels very invasive.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I don't know. Like I'm used to being the penetrator, not the penetratee. And even then that's like whatever. But like, it's just it's weird.
So are
It's
you
very
squeamish? Like, are you squeamish to the point to where you just obviously you probably don't have any interest in doing anything like that again if you don't have to?
right.
Um, are you squeamish talking about it? Does it make you feel squeamish?
About the dialysis or
Yeah,
about
about like your own processes and things. Or even
uh
talking, if you were talking about a procedure with somebody else describing their procedure, do you think that it would trigger you and then you would be like, I don't want to, you get the the woo woo feeling, the woozies.
no, I mean I have this weird numbed detachedness. There was a lot of what's it called? There was a lot of disassociation going on during dialysis
Yeah.
for me. I'm very good at that. I'm very good at it's why I meditate. We could do it. We should do a show on meditation, seriously, and meditation slash disassociation, and how the two are fucking
Sure.
very closely linked,
We don't do a
and
lot of
how
occult shows. I'd be down with that.
yeah, and because I mean, disassociation is something that I picked up when I was younger, and I had braces because I'd have to sit there while they did like these horrific things in my mouth, and I just had to go somewhere else. And I mean, it sounds kind of cheesy because I know that there's a lot of other people that got very uh, kind of handy with disassociation for way more crazier reasons.
Sure.
But I think once you learn that trick, it's a thing that you could do. And when I started to get into meditation, especially guided meditation when I was older, I learned that I struggled with it until I made the connection between the two. And I said, you're just disassociating from your body and from the present moment, and you're just kind of like you're going up into this other place, and it helps you build walls. And I think that without that, I probably would have completely lost my shit with the dialysis, and it's because I knew how to get away, but I'd have to come back. And when I came back, I was so beaten down and sick. And my dialysis experience was so bad that now they're actually starting to wonder if it wasn't, because dialysis is hard, but I took it really bad. And now it's like, well, wait a minute, or maybe it wasn't that your dialysis was that bad. Maybe this was signs that something went bad with the operation from the get go. And the only reason we're finding it now is because for the past 5 weeks you were on dialysis, and you were attributing what you were feeling to that.
Okay.
And it was actually that the operation got botched. And that's why I'm experiencing what I'm experiencing now today. You know what I mean? Because the
Okay.
doctors are scratching their head. They're like, well, you seem to be doing okay. And it's like, yeah, but, yeah, you were going through dialysis and that was rough, but maybe 100% of what I was going through. I know I'm kind of getting off topic here. But as far as like listening to other people talk about their shit, no, because I have that buffer. I don't, empathy is something I turn off and on because it's so strong for me, where either I really empathize with somebody and it gets weird, or I just kind of become a sociopath and just doesn't, you know.
Has it changed watching horror movies?
Oh, I probably haven't seen anything that graphic since recently. I haven't even seen the new Scream, and that's on VOD now.
I
Like,
haven't
I'm way
either.
behind on my fucking movies.
Right.
I never saw Moonfall. I did not see Batman this weekend. I'm like one of the only 5 fucking people in the world that didn't see
I know,
Batman.
right? I
You know what
didn't
I mean? Uh, I didn't see. I saw Uncharted though, of course, because I'm a dad. I'm a good dad. I took my kid to see Uncharted because he wanted to see that shit. But like, I'm way behind on my movies. So to be completely honest with you, I haven't. I don't even know. I haven't seen anything that might trigger me. But if you can recommend something, I would love to watch it. No,
Well,
seriously, like as a fucking experiment, just to see what happens.
the reason why I ask is because it's not quite horror movie related. It's a little different, but I'm a big fan. This is gonna sound really weird. I'm a big fan of gore,
Okay.
and what I mean by that is I mean real life gore. I love to watch that shit. I don't love it, but I do. I mean, I watch people getting killed. I've seen all the big hits on the internet. I've seen all the crime scene photos. I like that stuff. I don't know why. Well, probably because my mom at like 8 years old showed me, rotten.com, and it just started off this. My family's in the medical field, so I mean, it was never really weird.
Mm.
But anyway, so yesterday, not yesterday, today actually, I was watching. I have this YouTuber I watch. He talks about gore stuff on the internet, and he'll like break it down as best as he can on YouTube. And he presented a video that I had never seen before, so I went and I watched it. Let me tell you, it really wasn't that I mean, it's graphic, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. I mean, I've seen men get their balls eaten off by pit bulls. Like I've
Oh my
seen
God.
horrible stuff right on the internet. But this wasn't that bad. It was just a couple people being gunned down in the street, and it made me feel not very good. and I don't know. I'm not really sure. This has only happened to me like one other time, and I stumbled upon something on accident. That was a really graphic video, and I was like, look at the world differently after seeing that, and I kind of felt that way today. And again, it, I don't really know what it is about it that has made me feel that way. And I wonder, like, the older I get, again, I was going to pursue a career in criminology. And I've been into all this weird stuff, but it's like the older I get, and maybe also with the pandemic, I have found that I have become a bit more squeamish to this stuff. And I don't know why that would be.
Yeah, that's. I would say not since the pandemic have I. I've always like violence. It's weird. Like violence in general doesn't bother me. You look at like probably one of my favorite filmmaking top 10 moments in any film ever made, right? Or like as a filmmaker, something that I aspire to do, something that I think is brilliant. Look at the church scene, the Freebird church scene in Kingsman, the first Kingsman movie, where Colin Firth fucking massacres a whole entire church of racist fucking rednecks to Freebird.
That
And
sounds
it's
awesome.
it's one of the most beautifully executed scenes in fucking cinema history. And it's so bloody and so violent. And it's absolutely wonderful, right? The suggestion of sexual abuse in a movie like Sleepers, and I don't know if you've ever seen that,
Uh-uh.
that will make me almost nauseous to the point where I literally vomit because of something that I'm watching on the screen. And it's Kevin Bacon suggesting that he's gonna fuck Brad Renfro in the ass.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's like everyone's got their
Weird
triggers,
things,
man.
yeah, weird thi
Yeah,
well, and that's how it is, like I said, it's not necessarily that it was gory, it was just I think that it was more other things going on within it that made it more emotional, I guess, that made me feel a little more connected, a little more human, because, again, you can watch a guy get his balls eaten off by a pit bull and, you know why, you know the context, it doesn't matter, he's a bad guy anyway, it was a cartel video, so he's already a piece of shit, he kinda probably deserves it,
right.
um I mean, these are real people we're talking about, but like this was not that. Like this was just some crazy fucking neighbor guy that gunned down his neighbors and killed them, and it was a totally different context. And I just felt very bothered by it, and so, and I thought that was shocking. Like I said, considering all of the other stuff that I have seen, and so I wonder. I'm like, is it time that I shelve the gore? Am I done with it now? I don't know.
Hmm.
Truth be told, I'll probably see something else on the internet and go, I have to watch that, and I will.
Well, you connected with when you said that, like, this one person, it didn't matter what happened to them because of A, B, and C.
Right.
You created criteria that they fit into that allowed you emotional distance. And then when you talk about the random neighbor getting gunned down,
Right.
that struck a chord with you maybe because you empathize with that more because that could have been you. That's theory number one. Theory number two is that maybe because of the pandemic, I mean, I'll be, you know what? Actually, I'm going to go with theory number two because one of the things I did do this weekend is I stopped by. I won't say friend of the show because I know that bitch don't listen to this fucking podcast. But
Wow.
my friend Kristen, it was her 40th birthday party. Her and I are not on great terms because she wasn't really around during my recovery. But whatever, I have class, so I
Sure.
showed up to her party with a fucking present. She was at my 40th last year, and it was great just being around people. And I sat there and I did not drink. And there was people. I sat there and I talked to this chick that was very clearly on cocaine. And we talked about movies and actually we talked about MK Ultra for like fucking 45 minutes.
Oh, that's
But like,
cool.
yeah, she had just and the Manson stuff. I guess she had last podcast on the left is doing like a tour. Did you ever
Yeah.
listen to them?
No, not really.
No, fuck them. They're a less funny version of us, and they have improv, and the people all have improv energy, which I find absolutely annoying. But she had seen them a couple nights before, and we were talking about that and conspiracies and skunk apes and all kinds of shit. And it was great because I'm like, oh my god, and she's actually she's all coked up and she wants to talk about fucking what I talk about once a week on my podcast. So it was great. Um, I was just so happy to be around people though that I didn't mind that I was the only sober person in the room. And that would have never been me fucking 5 years ago. Where if I was the only sober person in a room full of drunks, I would have clawed my fucking eyes out. But now I'm just so happy to have human interaction that I think that it doesn't matter if I'm sober or not. And
Right.
I've done that a lot since I quit drinking, where I'll go to parties and I have a great time and I'm sober and everyone's drunk and it doesn't register to me and I don't mind. And when, later in the night when everyone starts slurring, I just go home and I'm like, all right, whatever, fuck this, I'm out. But like, it doesn't bother me. And I think it's because of the pandemic. I think we were all so isolated that some of us have grown to just appreciate human beings and human contact that much more lately. And maybe that's what's happening with you, where like it used to be kind of laughable to see someone get their balls chewed off by a pit bull because fuck people, right? You're a jaded little hardcore bitch. But now you're older and you realize that like how you realize the value of a human being to you. And now seeing another human being in pain or being tortured or being accidentally killed, it has a different effect.
Well, so when I mention the pandemic, what I mean is that like because for a long time we had wine with DeWine, right? So every single day at 2 p.m. the governor would come on and he would talk about the virus, and I'm sure a lot of people probably had something similar, but we just called it wine with DeWine. But anyway, and they would talk about all of these physical processes that would happen if you were to get COVID, and that kind of stuff used to really fascinate me. And then after a while, like I have a very hard time now even discussing my own health issues because it makes me feel very squeamish and very much again like I'm gonna pass out. I have a hard time taking shot, like I'm on the depot shot and I have a hard time getting my shot. Um because I don't know why. It makes me feel like my body is very unreliable. And so just talking to anybody sometimes really messes me up. I had a friend, we used to call and shoot the shit with each other about all of our different medical problems. And I can't call her anymore and talk to her because she's going to talk about that stuff and it's going to make me feel bad. I don't know why. It's like the actual mechanics of what that entails exactly really bothers me. And I know in this video in particular, there were some noises and things going on. And then, like, I had thought about what was actually happening with the body at that time and it fucked me up. I was like, I don't like that. I don't
Yeah.
like that. So I don't know what it is, but I just thought it was interesting. It was something that, I kind of because like I said, when it had happened before, it was pre-pandemic, so it didn't have anything to do with that. It just ended up being a very the situation itself was horrible. But this situation was also horrible. I mean, people dying is horrible, and probably I'm the weirdo that likes watching the stuff, but I don't know, something's wrong with me. So
I mean, I think it's a lot of people.
some
You
people are
weren't.
into it, some people aren't. I don't know.
E-Bomb's world was not created for Ashley Hilt. Like that wasn't like an Ashley Hilt tribute
That's
site.
true. That's
There's
true.
a lot of fucking people that were into that are still into that shit. Those
Right.
like Taliban beheading videos. They were like
Oh yeah.
trading cards that like guitar players would collect. And that's a really fucking weird reference, but like I was in a band with a guitar player that was like obsessed with that shit, and
Yeah.
he had like all of them, you know, and people are into that, and why? And maybe it's a good thing that you grow out of it. That's all I got to say, because being super into that shit at 50 is probably a bad look.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe not. I ain't trying to call anyone out. I don't want to offend our 50-year-old listeners that are still into that shit. Please
That's
don't
most of our
stop.
listeners. I don't.
Yeah, please don't stop listening to our podcast.
No, I don't think you're weird. And if you got any cool stuff, I guess send it my way because I'll probably watch it. But I mean, that's just where I think it's interesting. It's not so much. I went on a mission, and maybe I'll try it again. I have this photo, this crime scene photo. It's very gruesome. It's black and white. And the only person that I can find that this photo is connected to is Ed Gein. And it's not Ed Gein's victim. I know his victims. I've seen them. you know, he only has well, he's got the two for sure, possibly a third, which was his brother. And this person is not that person, but every time you reverse him and search it, the only thing that comes up is Ed Gein. And so I can't find where this body came from, and I've been looking for years. So I used to post it, and like back in the day on Facebook, used to be able to post that shit and nobody really cared, and I used to post it there, and everybody's like, oh, it's Ed Gein. It's not, though. Maybe I'll start circulating it again, terrorize everybody else with it.
There was a go on.
No, go ahead.
There was a picture that I came across online that haunted me, and I've never been able to. That's not necessarily true. I think it was a picture of a teenage girl, let's say the girl was like 17 and the kid was like 9, and they're
I know what
duct
you're talking
taped.
about. Yep.
Yeah, in the back of a van,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they found the picture. It's a Polaroid. They found the picture in a fucking parking lot somewhere.
Yep.
And they didn't even, and the police were so baffled, they didn't even know who the fuck the kids were.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's just this picture of these fucking children. Oh my God. And
Tied
it
up.
was,
Yeah.
yeah. And,
It's not like graphic. I mean, it's graphic, but
no,
it's not
there's
like
nothing graphic
bloody.
about it. They're
Right.
completely dressed. They don't have a mark on them. They don't look beat up or brutalized or anything, but but they don't look happy. And they definitely look like they're being detained against their will. And, I can't tell you how I think I came across this picture as like one of the great unsolved mysteries of whatever. I don't know,
Yeah.
some kind of like list or something. And man, like I can vividly remember that fucking picture.
And I believe, I think the rumor on the internet is that they're unidentified. I believe one of those kids was identified
Yes, I think that
dead.
was the boy. It matched. There was a book that was in the picture that helped them because they didn't even know how old the picture was.
Right. Nothing knew
They
nothing
didn't
about
even
it.
know if that. Yeah, they for all they knew, this picture was 5 years old. You know what I mean? Like, so you're talking about like going through a nation's worth of missing children. I mean, yeah, it was like monumental. But I think they did. They think they made a connection to the boy or something like that.
Right. One of them was identified, and then the other one I don't think has ever been. But they speculate on who it is, constantly. Well, we'll get into some of those jams eventually. I know I got one really, really interesting case on the list that I'd love to talk about. We will eventually. But anyway, I don't know. Sometimes you just come across shit on the internet and you got to wash your eyeballs, and so that's what I've been doing.
Amen, sister. Ain't that the
Lots
fucking
of
truth?
kitty cats and puppy dogs on my YouTube search history right now. So trying to pretend I didn't partake in that. Anyway, I didn't talk about my weekend yet. We haven't gotten to the news. We've been
Yeah.
30 minutes. Um,
How was the mall thing?
yeah. So
Can you talk
yes,
about that?
I
All right,
can.
cool.
Because by the time this airs, I will have posted about it. Yes. We went and investigated a liminal space today, and not today, but over the weekend. And we went to there's this mall in Cincinnati, and it's known as I can disclose the location. It's Cincinnati Mills Mall, because anybody can go there. It is basically abandoned. There are 3 stores in the entire mall, and it's a decent size. I mean, it's a good size mall. I mean, it's not like a teeny tiny little piece of shit. I mean, it was a good size mall. And we went, and because keep seeing people talk about it, and I mean, it's dark. They don't have, it's not like completely pitch black or anything, especially because you go during the day. They have some overhead lights on, but not all of the lights are on. And then most of the mall, because it's a big giant, it was a megaplex at some point, they have skylights and things like that. So it's decently lit, but obviously not in operation. Pretty much the only people that are there are mall walkers, because again, the actual inside of the mall itself is open due to these 3 places still staying open.
What are the
Um,
3 places?
it is the 2 places are on the ends, so it's a Kohl's and a Bass Pro Shop. And yeah, and probably, I mean, that's probably the only reason why the mall stays open, is because, and they could honestly just cut off their ends and be their own standalone stores because they're both at the ends. The other place is a random fucking arcade in the just in the middle of this fucking,
Whoa!
swear to God, yeah.
Did you go in there?
Hell yeah, we did.
What arcade games are even like fucking opera? Like was it like DDR and like that's? I mean, I was trying to
No.
explain the concept of arcades to my son,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, it started with Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat and stuff like that. And, what did they have? What's like?
So when you walk in, the front of the store is like a store, and they sell like retro games, DVDs, things like that, just like a secondhand media shop that you find. And then the back of it has, I mean, they have a whole entire wall of pinball machines. It's all classic stuff. It's, you got your typical, there's a Mortal Kombat cabinet. Of course, there's like Donkey Kong and Punch Out and Street Fighter, and I mean, all kinds of stuff. We played Rampage, we played Simpsons Bowling, we played the Area 51, the shooter. We played. They had a big. They did the newest thing that they had was like a giant Pac-Man game. We played it. So I mean, they're still keeping up with it. But I mean, it's open and the games are free to play. So I have no idea. Like we were kind of talking, like how the fuck do these people make their money? Because nobody would know that that place is there unless you're a regular there and you've been going there for years. Like nobody would have any idea. But they did also have like a little area for like PC gaming. So like they had like maybe, I don't know, 4 rows of, maybe 3 computers each of PC, and people go and they were there, they were playing. It still wasn't a bunch of people. You didn't have to wait to play anything. It's all open and available to you. It's all free to play. So I don't know how they make their money. I don't know how they stay open. But the location of it, like it's so fucking weird because it's in the completely deadest part of the mall. And I took pictures of it, took video of it. It's right hanging off of the food court that doesn't exist anymore. And when I say it doesn't exist anymore, I'm talking all the storefronts and shit are still there from the restaurants that were there. Things are like ripped out of the walls. I mean, completely fucked up and abandoned completely. But they haven't like all the table and chairs and stuff are still there. It's so weird. There's no lights on at all in the food court. It's fucking weird. And then right across from it is the arcade. It's strange. It was a very weird experience. So yeah, the arcade was cool. We hung out there. Gosh, we probably spent an hour and a half there. Of course, I went with our buddy, the Lord, Reverend Doctor Professor Crimson Nicholas.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was fun.
I saw a picture of him for the first time the other day. He posted a picture of himself online.
Did you?
He's not as grotesque as I thought he would be. Usually people with that good of internet presence, either there's a small, slim percentage that are attractive like myself, and you, of course, but I mean or they're like mutants. And he's not. He's like a good-looking dude. I was very.
Yeah.
I was like, "Holy shit, this guy's fucking passable."
Yeah, yeah. Red's, he's good looking.
Yeah, the mustache is a bit much, but I forgive him because he's from Ohio. He's still trying to figure himself out.
Sure, sure.
But yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so we went because we were kind of talking about it, because he keeps getting requested to come back on the show or whatever, and he's like, and he listens, so he's like, I will definitely come back on. I'm like, well, let's kind of think of a topic. We just had all these guests on. We'll get you back on, when we're kind of done doing a couple of topics, we'll get you on. He's like, yeah, and then he hits me with, hey, I came across this thing that maybe we could talk about, and it was basically about like liminal spaces, and which prompted the whole conversation. It was like, hey, you know what? There is one of those, and we could go there, and we should go there. And that's why we went to this abandoned mall. So,
well, what's a liminal space?
If you don't know about liminal spaces, are basically kind of nostalgic. It's kind of hard to explain. They're kind of nostalgic areas. There's like the psychological concept of a liminal space and a physical concept of a liminal space. So the physical concept of a liminal space is like when you enter an area and it's eerily quiet and it kind of just feels it kind of feels wrong for you to be there. Some people have encountered these in maybe certain waiting rooms. You walk in there and nobody else is in there and you're like, am I supposed to be here? Some of them are like when you walk through the back ways in a hotel and they're just nobody's back there. They're very quiet. Malls are also malls and like tunnels, like within malls that they have, because they'll have like transport tunnels and shit in a mall. If you find yourself alone in one of those, it just feels very eerie.
Yeah, let's have him on next week or something
To talk about liminal spaces.
I love this. I love that. I love him. He's one of my favorite guests of all time.
Yeah.
That we've ever had on. And the topic, I'm just kind of Googling it as you're talking.
Sure.
I think it's a gold mine. Let's do it.
And then your liminal psychological spaces is something that we were kind of talking about, Pat. It's like when you transition from one job to another and you're kind of in that weird in between area in your life and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just kind of doing it. There's different, but yeah, we'll go more in depth into it. So we go to this mall that was, chock full of that. I mean, because you'd see all these areas where people obviously worked and lived and hung out and nobody's there. You'd see things like there's a couple of different children's play areas that no kids are playing on. but they're spotless. You know, I mean, it's clean. I mean, that's the weird part about it. You know, you see this food court that, of course, all the shops are fucked up, but the seating area was immaculate, but no lights are on. You know, so it's
Right.
very interesting. A very interesting. You know, we kept kind of laughing about finding the no clip zone within the mall. We actually then ended up going to two more malls after that. We went to three malls in one day. The abandoned mall was cool, you know, then we left. I recommend people go. It's, you know, definitely if you can, if you're near the Cincinnati area, go check it out before you can't anymore. It's the closest thing that you'll get to legal, you know, urban exploration. So you're allowed to go in. And then we went to another mall right down the road because then Red's like, well, I really want to get a pretzel. You know, now he's like, I'm hankering for a pretzel. I was at the mall, I didn't get one. So we went to the closest mall. And this mall was damn near abandoned. I mean, they seem like they are dying anyway. People keep saying that the mall's dying out with all the internet shopping and all that. Malls are being killed. So this mall probably only had maybe 10 stores open in it. It was probably just as big as that same mall. We walked around. It wasn't very interesting. We left. And because there was still like 10 malls in there, it wasn't nearly as good as the abandoned mall. So then we went to another mall, and this was like an outdoor thing, and it was booming. I mean, it was great. You know, so that mall was doing really good. I don't know. So our mall's dying. We got three really good malls around us that seem to be doing just fine. So
When I took my kid to see Uncharted, we went to the mall, and I that was my concession, was that if I got to go see this fucking movie with you, we're gonna go. Oh no, I'm sorry. It was when we went and saw Jackass 4. We went to the mall because I wanted to complete the nostalgia trip, and
sure.
yeah, the mall that I grew up at, the one that I hung out in high school, it's still there. It's still populated. It's a lot of clothing stores because I think
Yes.
women still like trying on jeans in person. Like,
Yeah.
you know, media stores, you know, I remember there used to be, you know, 2 bookstores, there was 3 video stores, there was a Music Land, there was an FYE, there was a fucking Sam Goody, there was a Record Town, there was all these other places, there was an arcade. I was telling him about the arcade. He was fascinated by the idea of an arcade. There was a tabletop gaming store, like a D&D store, where the real nerds hung out, and you know, all this stuff. It's not so much anymore. No toy stores, no media stores really. But the food court was still there, and we ate in the food court. He liked the idea of the food court because it's like, wow, look at all these different places I can pick from. And it's a concept I don't think our children will ever really appreciate
Yeah.
as much as my generation did. Yours, it's like even 10 years, I don't even know. I mean, it's been well documented, my generation and the generation just a little bit before me, our fascination. We were like there for ground zero of mall culture. Look at Stranger Things. They kind of did a whole season about it
Well,
last
we
year.
hung out at malls. I mean, that was a big part of my growing up. You know, was
Okay.
hanging out at the mall. I one time I went to the mall with one of my friends, and we were trying to score a cigarette off of somebody, and we were young. And we come across this black guy standing outside, and he comes over and he's talking to us. He's asking us about the movies. He's this weird old man, and he was old. I mean, he was trying to like get us to go watch a movie with him. And was he just lonely or was he being weird? I'll never know. But my friend looks at me, and we notice in his shirt pocket he's got a pack of cigarettes, and she looks at him, she goes, "Hey, are those menthol?" He says, yeah. Why, do you want one? She's like, yeah. And this man goes into his bag that he had been carrying, pulls out a bag of cough drops, gives us a couple of cough drops. So I guess he thought we were talking about the cough drops. But anyway, no, yeah, we hung out at malls a lot.
Did you ever get the smokes off somebody?
Well, she was like, I was talking about the cigarette. And he was like, oh, and then he gave us some cigarettes. So that was cool.
How old were you guys?
I don't think you want to know. I was probably 11 or 12.
Oh, we'll pretend you said 12. Although that's still kind of gross, but it's a little less gross.
I had a very interesting childhood. It wasn't my fault. But anyway, you know, I didn't know. I was a kid, but yeah, it was weird. We didn't see a movie with him, but we did smoke his cigarettes. But anyway, yeah, we hung, you know, we had the mall. We hung out at the malls a lot, as you know, that was definitely our thing. But I think that but I remember even being like, you know, 16, 17 and still going to the mall, and it was cool.
Oh,
I
no,
mean,
we did throughout high school. Like that was my Friday night. We would go to the movies and we'd walk around, and like I was there when my senior year of high school was probably when Hot Topics started to open.
right.
So like, and Hot Topics were there like during, I'd say like the last like kind of surge
Hmm.
of mall activity. And then after that, they started to die down. But yeah, that was there like my senior year in high school. Hot Topics open. Before that, there was just Spencer's, and
Right.
that was like the goofy store.
Yeah. Yeah. I
But
remember that.
Chicago Ridgeball had a independently owned place called Woodstock 2000, and
Oh.
that's where you could get like hitter boxes and like pipes and stuff. And that was like crazy that you could go into a store and buy like a Black Flag T-shirt and a fucking bowl. And I was like, they created a place that's like just for me. Like,
See, we could do that, but not at the mall. We had to go to Yellow Springs, Ohio, and that's where all that shit was at. And we did, So, I mean,
yeah,
ours, we had a whole little, like Yellow Springs is kind of a mall in and of itself. So, I mean, we also had that luxury. We had a whole hippie town that we would hang out in. And it's still kicking. Very, 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 doing very well. So that's a good thing. But yeah, I mean, malls now, but even now, we have this big giant outdoor mall here. It's a big deal. People go to it. We've got both the two malls that are doing just fine. I mean, they're well
yeah,
stocked and they're doing great. But then like my original mall that I grew up in was in Springfield, Ohio. It's gone now. It's not even there anymore. Well, I think it's there, but it's closed completely down. Um,
right.
and so that would have been probably another dead mall. Maybe not quite like this one is. This one again doesn't have lights and shit on in certain areas. So
Well, it's kind of like what we were talking about like pre-show about like office space and how
yeah.
there's a surplus of office space that they don't even know what to fucking do with.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing like malls. I think there's always going to be a reason for malls to exist. Um,
They just have to move to stay in business.
yeah, and I think there's going to be less of them, and it's going to be a little bit different. Now, one thing I did notice when I went to when we went there, we went on a Saturday. It was like we probably caught like a 11 o'clock show, and we got there at like 10 o'clock just to eat at the food court or maybe somewhere around there. And it was fairly well populated, and there was signage up that said that unaccompanied, like kids under 16 had to be with an adult, which I thought was bullshit. I was like, well, that was like, no wonder malls are failing. If you're not going to let kids hang
Yeah.
out here on the weekends, why the fuck? Like that was like your customer base. The mall would be full of kids from different high schools, and we'd
Yeah.
all be
And
walking around.
we encountered that at the one mall and at the second mall, the one that was really dying. And it was like Fridays and Saturdays only after this time. Only you have to be accompanied by an adult. And it's like, what? But that's the time the kids hang out at the mall.
Right.
Okay. All right. If you don't want their money, so these rules. We also have like a little, it's kind of like a little mini mall, like a shopping mall here. And it's got, a couple of stores in it. I mean, it's all indoor. I'll take my daughter there. So she's not completely, and I tell her, we're going to the mall. I'll take her to that place because it's got most stores that we like. But to her, so she's not completely unfamiliar with the concept, but maybe I'll take her to the big mall sometime and see what she thinks about that.
I had my daughter this week, and I think I might take her and see if it registers to her at all that like this is cool or this is
Yeah.
fun,
Yeah.
or maybe she'll just like die of embarrassment because she's with me.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand
Yeah.
that. That's another thing. Well, anyway, should we get into some news finally?
Yeah, what you got, girl?
I got some news. Well, first I'm going to do my, my weekly, shout outs here for, what's going on. Because this weekend is a big deal, guys. This weekend I will be in Erie, Pennsylvania at the High Strangeness Erie event. I will be the master of ceremonies there doing live interviews with people that have had encounters with high strangeness as well as sharing my own. And of course, you can buy some shit. There's an exclusive design t-shirt that you can buy there by the wonderful Jonathan Dodd. And you don't want to miss out on that because it's been approved by a contactee, an actual contactee, and what the person it's based off of. So that's great. And then also, of course, the Wiseville UFO Festival. I'll be there June 11th. That's coming. You'll hear more about that eventually. And that's all I really have for my shout outs this week. So
Is Kinsey still going to be at the one this weekend?
She is.
Man,
She's going to be there.
I am not going. I was not forbidden to go. My wife gave me that. She's like, I can't tell you no, but you shouldn't go. You should stay home, man.
Yeah, she'll be there. She makes really awesome jewelry. I bought 2 necklaces from her. I actually see, and she'll be selling her jewelry. Mothboy Matt will be there from the Mothboys podcast. Who else is going to be there? Danner from Conjure Dust Design. Can't say enough good about Danner and all of his stuff that he does. other people too. I can't remember the names of them. Maybe I should have had a list together. Just a bunch of people. Just a bunch of people. Erie, Pennsylvania, be there or don't and miss out. I mean, that's up to you, I guess.
Yeah.
That's your deal. But anyway, I've only got one really interesting news story this week. There is and this is somebody had asked recently what it is I'm researching right now because I pissed off social media because I once again explained that I don't believe ghosts are dead people, and that makes people angry for some reason. And whatever. I mean, you pick and choose your battles, man. If that's a hill you want to die on, you can. It's not one that I choose to die on because that's only a percentage of what I do. But anyway, so one of the things that I do like to really dig deep into are these weird noises that people hear throughout the sky. And so throughout the sky, yeah,
the trumpet sounds.
Sometimes it's trumpet sounds. The one that I really dug deep into that I called my sky dragons when I talked about on the show previously, was an event in Texas where it would be like this loud screech, and then following that loud screech would be like a bird noise, and multiple people heard it from different areas. I've got the videos of different parts in this town in Texas that people were hearing it from. And then a guy was actually on Facebook Live trying to find where that noise was coming from. And like at the same time, there was a thunderstorm happening. And so whenever the lightning would light up, you could see weird figures in the sky and shit. It was crazy.
Whoa.
It was crazy. Now, some people ended up saying the news reported it's just a pipe. It's just this pipe that when the steam comes out, it makes this weird fucking noise. It did make the kind of screeching, screaming sound noise, but I had actually interviewed people that worked in that factory where that pipe noise was coming from. They said that noise was not happening the night that was happening, that is not the noise the pipe even makes, and that residents in the town would know if it's the pipe going off, and it wasn't that. So very interesting. Maybe I'll release some documents on it, because there's never been nothing's ever happened again from it, but I'll put the video out there. If you guys want it, just hit me up. I got it. But this is kind of a different one. This one is like a weird metallic shrill kind of noise happening. It doesn't sound organic at all. I mean, it sounds like machinery, but the problem is that people don't really know what it is. Because if it's a mechanical sound, then for the most part, you end up finding out where it's coming from. So this is happening in Luther, Oklahoma, and the residents are not able to sleep at night because every single night they hear this loud machinery type of sound. And I've got a video to the news story on it. People have taken video of it. The noise itself is not jarring at all. It's just that, again, it is very strange because the source of it hasn't been found yet. So that is interesting.
I want to say one of the theories that was put forth on Coast to Coast, which, granted, just a theory, but they were trying to make some kind of correlation between these sounds and like areas where fracking was going on.
Okay.
I don't know if that, when you said Oklahoma, and it that popped in my head because that seems like a place where they would do a lot of fracking. And that's my completely unscientific 2 cents.
It could
be.
What I mean? I sent you the news clip or whatever. It's not. I don't know if you want to listen to it now while I talk about it. It could be. There's been other cases of these events happening, these noises happening, and it's been something simple like one. I think there's an old story. I'm probably gonna get it wrong because I guess I probably should have dug into it, where somebody kept hearing like this buzzing or something happening every night at the same time, and then other people started hearing it in the neighborhood, and come to find out it was coming from a neighbor's like security system or something. And so, I mean, sometimes there are very logical explanations for these things, and this seems like it is something that probably has a logical explanation, but it's just a matter of finding what. And the extra weird thing about it is that most times there isn't a conclusion. There isn't any type of resolve. Eventually this noise will just stop, and that'll be the end of it. We had an event locally. Now, I started getting into it. It was one of the first things I really got into when I started doing 4-day investigation. Because locally, I have that neighbors app where you can talk to your neighbors about what the hell's going on in the neighborhood. Right. You're nosy.
Yeah, I know.
We got the booms that happen. And for a long time, people thought they were fireworks, but then they continue to happen and nobody catches them. And we live in a very suburban area. I mean, Pat, you've been here. You've been in my house. I mean, I live a very, it's not like we're in the country or anything. If somebody was setting off fireworks, eventually you'd
No,
get
but you are right by an Air Force base. I would just
we
attribute it
are
to like
right.
sonic booms or like
So
shit. Like,
and we've considered that. So the neighbors have considered that. But all these booms were happening, and then one morning something else happened, and there was weird. It's not quite this sound. It's a lot creepier than this sound in the Oklahoma area that's happening. It was like a very metallic sound, but it was like metal scraping on metal or hitting metal and clanging metal, and it was very weird. And people had heard it for about 45 minutes very early in the morning, but at the same time, people in Florida were hearing the same exact fucking sound
now, how do you know it's the same exact sound?
because people recorded it and it was the
Oh, okay.
same exact sound.
All right.
And, again, this is one of the first things that I really got into investigating. So I dropped the ball on investigating it well, but I did find out some things. So they heard, again, there was a recording from people hearing it here in Ohio, and then recordings of people hearing it in Florida at the same time. Not like 6 o'clock here and 6 o'clock Florida, no, but the time change difference. So anyway, here locally, it was reported that the sound that was being heard was a train had hit a car and was dragging it on the tracks. But for 45 minutes, I guess. And
Yeah.
could that be the case? I don't know. I don't really trust that explanation. And
Who
how
came
the
up with that
hell?
explanation?
I that's a really good question. I don't remember. I probably should have put that down. It was reported on the news, so who knows?
Okay. Yeah.
Generic somebody,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, very, very weird. So I'm fascinated by these noises that happen in the sky. Um and yeah, I mean that's one of the things. So I'll post a video in the description and I'll probably post it on social media, the news report of it. But yeah, Luther, Oklahoma, we'll see what transpires from this weird this weird mechanical noise that happens every night. That was my news.
Nice. Good job.
So an hour into the episode, which is fitting to be quite honest with you, because there's not a whole lot on this topic.
Are you kidding? I love this one. I spent time researching this. I like went to like multiple different websites. I didn't just copy the fucking Wikipedia page. I even went on Snopes and like fact checked it and shit. I am in love with this. This is like my new favorite. Like this will end up for those of you that follow my creative stuff. This will end up in my art at some point because it's such a cool, weird fucking story that you could make up different explanations for.
It is a weird story, but it's not a long one.
No, it's not a complete story, which is the best part because the complete stories sometimes you don't like the explanation, sometimes you don't like the endings. This is like 5/6 of a story, and that last sixth, like little, like, you know what I mean? Like that's up for you, the listener, or you, the reader, or you, the movie watcher, to kind of connect the dots on, and that's what I love about it.
Sure. Sure. Okay. Well, what do we want to do? Start at the beginning with the first alleged sighting?
Well, yeah. I mean, you want to start with the 50s or you want to start with the 70s? Because the 70s is like the big one, where that's the one that we kind of talked about last week too, when you were telling me about this shit for the first time. But there is one that goes back to the 50s, and there's another one from 2016,
Yeah.
which is fucking awesome.
Well,
And then
we'll start with the 50s
okay,
and we'll go from there. Do you want me to go or you want to go or
so with the 50s,
what are we talking about first of all?
we're talking about Loveland, Ohio, which is right outside Cincinnati. And what is the name of that river?
I think that's the Little Miami River.
Yes, the Little Miami River. So there's the Little Miami River, and there have been a slew of sightings of weird frog human hybrids along this river. And they've happened over the decades by credible, like I would consider credible witnesses. The last sighting in 2016, there's even a decent amount of photographic evidence. And basically starting back in the 50s. Let me pull this one up. Oh, it must be this one. Um, it was May 5th, and in I don't know if it was in 1955.
Yep.
May 5th, 1955. Three versions of this story.
Yeah.
A businessman or a traveling salesman or Bible seller is driving all by his lonesome along a dark, unmanned road along the Branch Hill neighborhood of Loveland, Ohio. And as he's passing the Little Miami River going over this bridge, one version of the story is um, as he's driving, his headlights hit three huge figures, a trio of like figures, like kind of like milling around the road or walking across the road. He honks the horn, and as they kind of turn to face him, he sees that they are upright bipedal frogmen. Okay. Another version of the story is that they had cloaks on and were coming out from like under the bridge, and there was like a small party of them. And version number 3, which is the most insane, which I absolutely love, which is the one that I'm going to use. The motorist pulls over, gets out of the car when he spots the creatures, and he sees all three of them conversing animatedly. The driver calls out to them. One of the frogmen gets up, points his fingers at his friend, and his friends, the other frogmen, in a universal gesture of put a pin in it. And then I'm sorry, I had a coughing fit because it's so fucking funny. I can't even get this out. He tells us, he points at the guy to be like, hold on a second. And then like gestures to his friends, and then pulls out a motherfucking wand.
Yeah.
And starts shooting sparks out of the wand. Yeah. And the motorist runs off.
Out of there. Yeah, he's like,
gets the fuck out of here. And this is a very famous story from that area. And it kind of changed a little bit over the years. Sometimes it was a person on a motorcycle. And it became one of those urban legends. Now, if this was all there was, you would just discount it and say, well, fucking, it's whatever. It's a bullshit story, right?
Right. Because even like the witness, some people have speculated about who it was.
No, yeah, that's the thing. No one knows who it was. It's not attributed to anybody. And some stories, the identity of the original witness varies from everything from a Hell's Angel to a Bible salesman. Literally, it runs the gamut. Everyone heard a different story, and no, that's not what happened. My grandpa was firefighter on duty that night. This is what really happened.
Yeah.
Right.
And even like while researching it, Pat texted me and he's like, hey, what do you got about this 1950s? I'm just like, some guy saw 3 frogmen and they pointed a wand at him and that was it. I mean,
right. But so the 1950s incident comes up in a lot of stories about the 70s incident, but the 70s incident is kind of
totally different thing.
Right. Is kind of considered like the cornerstone one because it happened it happened between March 3rd and March 17th, which is why we're covering the topic now. We're kind of in that anniversary zone. And it was reported by 2 police officers, 2 different Loveland police officers, which are very credible witnesses. And they have kind of, they don't have wands. I'll let you tell the 70s story.
Sure.
There's no wands and there's no cloaks and there's no wild hand gestures. But it's once again in tandem when you have these 2 stories together, and the fact that the incredible story was 20 years earlier, and then you have a more grounded story with police officers in the 70s. It almost kind of retro engineers that original story into being a little bit more credible.
Right. No, it's interesting. So yeah, I mean the first, well, like Pat said, there was 2 instances in March that happened with 2 police officers working on the same force. The first one, it was a guy named Ray Shockey who at 1 a.m. Was kind of driving around alongside the river area. He said he was driving slow because it was really icy outside, and he saw what he thought was like a dog on the side of the road, except the dog got up and started walking on two legs. And at that point in time, he said that it had frog like features, and walked across his car and then walked up to the guardrail right there and looked at him, turned around, looked at him, and then went and hopped over the guardrail into the water. And he was very confused by what he had seen, obviously. Now there's some people that say that like this was investigated by the local police because Ray was so adamant as to what he saw and how strange it was.
He came back that night with another police officer.
Right,
Like,
that they said
yeah.
that they had found scratch marks on the guardrail where it had hopped over. But there was no pictures or, evidence or anything like that that had happened. So then 2 weeks later, officer, what's his name? Mark Matthews was also out driving around when he saw this weird lump laying in the middle of the road. And so he kind of stopped to go see what it is. Now, this story gets weird because there's also a couple of different versions of this story. So what I had heard was that the thing got up, walked on two legs, and started to go pretty much the same path that Mr. Shanky said that it was going to go hop over the guardrail, and that it did. And when it did, Officer Matthews shot it and killed it,
Right.
and
Yeah.
threw the corpse in his trunk
Yeah.
because he was like, "This is what my colleague saw." Some people don't say that. Some people say, or what he initially said was that it did get up and walk on two legs. He did try to shoot at it. He didn't shoot it. And then he later came out with the story that he did shoot it, showed it to Ray. Ray confirmed that's what he saw. And what it was somebody's pet iguana without its tail. Now, again, this is reported. I remember when I was telling it last week, I think I misquoted the height on this thing. It's about 3 to 4 feet tall.
Yeah.
In all the stories, and the salesman stories, and the Ray Shockey story, and the Mark Matthews story, the height's pretty consistent. But people are very confused because, again, Mark Matthews' story changed. Because initially he did say, and what he said later on was that he had kind of cooperated with Ray's story because he didn't want his friend to go down looking like he was crazy, because he knew it was just an iguana, and didn't want him to feel badly about misidentifying an iguana. So I don't know, Pat, what do you think about that?
I think it's bullshit because I think there was a third case that we'll get to in a second.
Sure.
But in the third case, when I looked on the Wikipedia page, the third case's Wikipedia page says that it was later admitted to be a hoax. And while the Wikipedia page says that, I never found any instance of the people involved, the witnesses, later recanting their story.
So hold on, we're not gonna get into that yet because we're just gonna talk about this one for a minute. Because
what I'm saying is there's an air to this phenomenon of bullshittery, of people kind of backpedaling and
on their story, yeah,
right, and trying to go back later, and you know what I mean. It almost seems like there is a force involved trying to discredit this.
So there was also a farmer who, around the same time of the 1970 case, came out. Now that's not as, it's kind of one of those things that nobody really talks about because not a lot of information was known about it, because the farmer had reported that he had seen a bipedal frog-like creature on his property, on his farm, that is right there off the river.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody really talks about that one. Again, no names, no locations. But when Mark Matthews came out and said that this was an iguana, they said it made sense because it was right next to this boot factory, and there was lots of warm piping and things like that this thing could have survived. That's another thing. This happened in fucking March in Ohio with icy roads. An iguana's not going to be out crossing the street and jumping in the icy water.
Right. And the fact that it's the same road 20 years later, clearly there's some kind of fucking wormhole shit going on. Like,
something, right? Something.
Yeah. It's not, I don't think it's anything, I think that I don't think it's anything native to that area.
Right.
I don't think there's some weird cryptid that only lives in fucking Loveland, Ohio.
No.
I think that the veil is thin at that point for some reason, or whatever explanation you want to come up with. Dragon lines. That's my go-to. You know what I
Right.
mean? If you can't explain why shit happens at a certain place, it must be on dragon lines.
Right. No, that's okay. That's perfectly perfectly reasonable, I think, because it doesn't make much biological sense. Now, frogs can stand up on their back legs and kind of wobble around. So that's interesting. Should I mention the Crosswick monster?
I don't even know what that is.
I I talked about it on the Cryptocasters.
Oh.
That was my monster, and it happened 20 miles away from Loveland.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I was in the hospital at the time. Fuck you. But no, please.
So something else had happened back in 1882, 20 miles away from Loveland, Ohio. Which is pretty close proximity. There's a bunch of nothing. I don't live very far from both of these areas. I live about 20 minutes from Crosswick. I live about 40 minutes from Loveland, right?
Right.
And so this little community known as Crosswick, Ohio, and in 1882 two boys went fishing, and while they were fishing, they were being stalked by something in the bushes, and out of nowhere they get charged by this 30-foot long salamander like creature, this weird reptilian creature, and it actually grabbed one of the boys and started dragging it up into this hollowed out sycamore tree. And so a couple of men, 3 men, one of them being a reverend, heard this happening, and they all came running. And then the animal, while it was kind of making its way up the tree, dropped the boy and went back into the tree. So the men they took the boy to the local doctor. He was being treated, and they went back into town. They rallied up a group of 60 people, and all the residents went to that tree, and they started trying to get the creature out of it. So they expected it to come out of the bottom hole. So they started trying to chop it down, make noise, scare it out of the hole. Well, this giant thing then jumps out of the top of a hole in the top of this dead sycamore tree, lands on the ground, and then stands up on 2 legs and starts walking off. And it scared probably at least half the townspeople were like, whoa, fuck this. That's demons. We're leaving. And they did. Now, they did. They were like, fuck this. They left. All the townspeople described it as being, yes, 30 foot long from the tip of the nose to the tip of the tail, but 12 foot tall on foot. And they chased it. People chased it for about a mile until they came upon this big like cavern that was kind of made out of the rock formations there, and it jumped into the cavern, and they all thought, well, we're gonna wait till this fucker comes out, and it never did. They never saw it ever again after that. But there's a lot of credible people within this. Again, that you have the reverend that was there, the town reverend, who was probably credible. The 2 men that he was with were well respected in the community. The family was not known to make up any of these stories. The boy survived. He actually never went fishing again after that, and moved eventually because he got sick of the questioning and, well, what did you see? What happened? And he moved away from the area. Could this have been kind of the same creature, a reptilian type of humanoid thing that...
let's not use reptilian. I mean, amphibious.
It is.
These are frogmen. These are not reptilians.
No,
it's not. I ain't fucking with those people.
But the actual Loveland frogman doesn't look anything like an actual frog. It looks reptilian.
Yeah, but that's not as fun. I think the frogman.
You want it to look like an actual
with the
frog.
big eyes and the and ribbit. Like in Chrono Trigger, like the fucking. That night frog guy. You know what I'm talking about? Like
when you yeah, I do actually. When you see the frogman, Pat, you tell me what the frogman looks like when you see him.
Well, I think we need to go because it's like you said, it's like ridiculously close to your house, and it's north.
Really
it's closer to where I'd be coming from.
It's a legend that I grew up with. It's something that I've always heard, and you know what I mean. It's a very local thing. But let's get back. So Mark Matthews shoots this thing. And, the Crosswick monster, I'll never probably talk about it any other time on the show. Do with that what you will. But Mark Matthews shoots this thing, says it's an iguana. Case closed, right? Except not case closed. Because you want to tell the story? You want me to tell the story?
So then 2016, 2 teenagers are out playing Pokemon Go, and they come across a bipedal frog monster standing up in the Little Miami River.
Yep.
And this time, because it's 2016, they pull out their cell phones and they'd start taking video and pictures of it.
Yeah. And yep, and I'll share the video. Of course, it'll be
Yeah,
down below.
and it's not terrible. It's better than a lot of Bigfoot shit I've seen, or supposedly seen. It's actually pretty good photographic evidence. I mean, it's still a little whatever, but yeah. Now, what was interesting was that was their story, and they had evidence of it, and the news local papers picked it up and kind of ran with it, and on the Wikipedia page, though, for the Loveland Frog monster, it says that the two teens involved later recanted their story and said that it was a hoax, and that the creature in the pictures was like a statue that they made. But it doesn't cite a source for that. So
Right.
I went through is not all of the internet, but a lot of it, and I looked for an interview that these kids gave or some other piece of corroborating evidence that says that they recanted their story, and I could not find it. So
Yeah.
that tells me that somebody edited that Wikipedia page to say that the 2016 incident was a fake and that evidence is fake. But there's nothing anywhere else that says that I found. Now, maybe you could spend 3 days and find something different, or maybe Asher's, you living in close proximity, the story better. But that's
Well,
how it looks from my house.
I one upped you.
Okay.
But I actually went and I took to Facebook, and I have the kid's name. The kid's name is Sam Jacobs, and I messaged every single Sam Jacobs within a 50-mile radius of the Loveland area.
Get out of here today.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I'm serious. And there was 3 of them, and I asked them all, "Hey, are you the one that took the Frogman?" It's gonna be weird, but did you take the Frogman video? Because only one of them did, right? So it's gonna be interesting. Nobody's responded back yet. But they haven't read it yet. So that's gonna be a cliffhanger, and I can update it next week if I get that information. But yeah, I figured, well, fuck it, man. It's 2022. We can do that shit, right?
Right. No, totally. And you're a girl with a good Facebook picture. Like, they're gonna fucking respond to you. Unlike me. Like, if I try to,
whoever it is are a lot younger than me, but we'll see. But yeah. So you're right. I agree with that, and I did try to find, because the picture. Well, okay. So first of all, they took a video of it, and in the video, it's actually moving its head.
right. So it couldn't be a statue.
Right, it's moving its head around, and so could it have been a puppet or something like that? And they just put like maybe a glow stick in the eye holes, or sure, I guess so. So the picture comes from the video where somebody had taken it, or maybe they had taken it and had lightened it up and blown it up, and then at that point in time, now if they were just trying to trick the eyes, they wouldn't need to have shaped the body the way that they did.
Mm-hmm.
That's an elaborate hoax. But then again, kids get bored and they do things. But when you look at the picture, it kind of just looks like a person maybe wearing a big mask or a headpiece of some sort with the glowing eyes that is squatting down like in a frog, like a human doing a frog position. I will say that much. It's very clear that there's something there, and I mean, you can kind of make out details considering, again, this video was taken in pitch blackness. But that doesn't necessarily discredit the fact that it was a humanoid being rather than a person. And you're right. I saw the same claims. It's been debunked. Well, where and when did they say that this was debunked?
Right.
Because when I was reading those claims, I was reading that it, like you said, was something they made. I read that it was a lawn ornament. I read that it was a person and just a suit. So, well, which one is it?
Right. Yeah, I had seen statue, but
Right.
once again, there's no source for that. And if that was something that they said publicly, or that, hey, they released this thing and they started getting some attention, and one of them got spooked and fucking just said, it wasn't real. Well, if they even said that, even if it wasn't true, like I think the cop changed his story to try to fucking shut this thing down so people would finally leave him alone. That's what I think happened there.
Well, and the cop, when this sighting came out, the cop came out and was like, "Listen, this is not a fucking thing. This is just an iguana. It's bullshit. It's not real." Like he was very aggressive about it when this.
But how can he speak to their experience if his friend had an experience, and then 20 years earlier there was another report of it. You know what I
Right.
mean? So like
Another, yeah.
the fact that you have this one jagoff in the middle of all this that says, this is bullshit. Why should he be believed over anyone else? And then the fact that he's trying to shut the kids down, if the kids really, if one of them were to break and recant their story, that would be picked up and documented too. And it wasn't. But the Wikipedia page was edited to fucking say that it was, with absolutely no backup. So obviously there's a force, or there's something that wants to fight, I don't know, if, whatever, however conspiratorial you want to get. There's obviously some agency here that wants to keep this thing fucking squashed and kind of just
Right.
dismiss it. But I don't know. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to be fucking a contrarian that I am and say, no, man, there's frogmen with fucking hoods and wands roaming around out there. I can't wait to get my ass down there, because it's not that fucking far away.
No,
It's
it's not.
Cincinnati. I mean, like,
Yeah.
come on. It's like a 2-hour, 3-hour drive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, I want to check out that bridge. I want to go.
Yeah,
I want to see it
definitely.
during the day, and I want to see it at night. And
Yeah, I mean, and that's so. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, I think something weird is going on here. And when you look at these instances, well, and actually, when I did the poll a couple weeks ago on social media, Pat, you were the one that said, yes, I believe in the Frogman. And most people didn't. Most people did not believe in it. They had believed that it was settled. But what they're actual called in the Fortean community is lizard men. And when you look and you do a deep dive on these things, Loveland, Ohio is not the only place that this is happening at. It's not the
no, but
only.
these are frogmen. Don't confuse the two.
It's not. It's the same thing.
It's frogmen. There's like
It's not.
there's a fucking trio of them. They got hoods on and wands, and they talk like Italians with wild gestures of their hands, and they're hanging out in Cincinnati for some reason. And I'm going to get to the bottom of this, and I'm going to come up with my own fucking narrative. The shit that happened in the tree, I don't know about that. I wasn't there. But I don't know. I think there's a lot of smoke with this one. And I think that it has all the hallmarks of a great trans-dimensional fucking adventure. I think that you got 3 frogmen from a different plane of existence that got stuck in fucking Cincinnati. They got stuck in a time loop in Cincinnati, and they're trying to get out. And I think it's its own self-contained thing. I don't think it's an invasion force. I don't think it's a species of cryptid that exists in. I don't want. If you got a story about some shit that happened in Brazil, fine. I'll shut up and I'll let you tell it. But I don't think it's connected. I think this is just 3 frogmen out for a good time in Cincinnati, and one of them got shot. Now they're off for fucking blood, and they got a wand and they got hoods.
All right, I'm gonna let Pat believe what he wants to believe, but for the listeners, I'm gonna tell you the good information. No, lizard people are around in folklore, dating back to forever. Like, for example, the Japanese have the kappas, and as a matter of fact, these things look a lot like what we saw during that terrible Super Mario Brothers movie, with the de-evolution people. That's pretty much what people are describing when they talk about these things. And just like with that I have preached about with the Mothman, it's the same fucking phenomena with a different name happening all over the goddamn world. And I don't think it sounds fucking ridiculous. Of course it does. But I don't think that it is something that we should just kind of overlook and brush to the side because some police officer may or may not have shot an iguana, and that was the end of that story. I think it's something that we should talk about more, just as a community, and I think it's important to look into. And I think that for you guys who listen to this kind of stuff and you're into this kind of stuff, go dig into lizard people. Go really look into it and go really look at these instances happening all around. The New Jersey has the Gator Man. It's a very similar, very weird story, but lots of credible witnesses.
When I think of I guess I just like this as a like a dimensional hopping anomaly, as like a what if, you know what I mean? I'm familiar with reptilian aliens and the idea of there being subterranean dinosaur lizard men that exist. There's lots of that stuff. And could this be that? I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you this. Not if the 2016 photographic evidence is to be believed. Because if that video and that picture is legit, 100% legit, that's not a lizard man. That's a fucking frog man. You know what I mean? That's not a reptilian alien. or what people are experiencing when they're abducted by reptilians, or what people think Zuckerberg is or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that's a fucking frog man. And that
Wow.
2016 shit. Now, maybe the 2016 stuff is bullshit, right? I don't know. Or maybe they're trying to disprove the 20. I don't know.
I
But
will say this: I don't buy into the reptilian conspiracy theory. I think that is bullshit and it's dumb, and all it is fucking digital television glitching, and
you
you
didn't
guys
have to
need to
call it
fucking
dumb,
catch up.
man. You're shitting in some people's Cheerios tonight,
I will
man.
shit all over their Cheerios, and they will fucking eat it and like it.
Yeah, they will.
So I'm just gonna tell you that right now. Lizard people, yes. Reptilians, ruling the government, fucking no, guys, no, absolutely not.
But Obama blinked twice during the State of the Union in fucking
Oh my God.
2009.
And it was sideways on my
Right.
on my goddamn digital TV in 2008. Yeah,
Right.
okay, I get it. Right, I understand. I get what I get where you're coming from, but you're still wrong. So, no, I get what I get what you're saying, Pat. You are allowed to believe in however you want to believe in. That's the very fun part about this stuff is that if you want to believe that it is like an RPG mage frog person, that's fine. I agree that is also very fun, but I don't get to do the fun because it's my job. So I have to I got to do the facts. You don't have to do that so much. You're allowed to, but you know what, Pat, go down there. Let me tell you something. Let's go down there. You catch me this frogman and you
Don't
prove me wrong.
patronize me. I'm a dying man. Jesus fucking Christ, Ashley.
No, I'm telling you. Go down there.
I will.
You're the cryptid killer here. Go down there.
I wouldn't.
Get this
I don't know.
frogman.
I mean, there's 2 left, but I don't know if
There's only 2 left.
Right. I think I tried to get him home, but I would like to get that wand. I would like to get my hands on that wand. I'll be real honest with you. I'm impressed by the fact that they have technology that appears to us to be magic wands.
Well, then you need me to come down there to talk with my hands with them.
Right. I need you to speak Italian to them. And fucking, you know what I mean? Hey. You know what I mean? Why don't you bring a pan of ziti and we'll have it in the back seat. And if we'll fucking break bread with them. And we'll fucking find out what they need to get home. And
yeah. Well,
we'll get them back.
We'll get a frogman wand. That sounds good to me.
Especially if it like turns into a time traveling adventure where we have to somehow go back to the 70s and prevent their companion from being shot by the fucking dickhead cop. Like that's when it would really get fun. Yes, where we have to reunite their party.
No,
like we find the one survivor, and like like I said, the veil is thin there in Loveland, Ohio, and it becomes a time traveling adventure across 2016, pre-pandemic, 1972, and 1955. Like those are 3 very distinct eras in Midwestern culture to be bouncing through. I'm telling you, it's got the makings of a great fucking movie. Like I love this story because it's like,
and the portal is somewhere in that abandoned mall.
There you go.
It's right there. It's in the same fucking neighborhood. It's not the same neighborhood, but I mean, it's right there. It's the same location. So I'm just saying, I will sign off on this. I mean, if you want to go on a Loveland Frog adventure, we can.
We should organize one for our listeners because it's, it's a public space, so it's not like we have to get like permission to go into anywhere.
I think that would be cool. I thought about doing like a listener meetup.
Yeah, and like a tour thing, and like we all meet up on a Saturday and we fucking look at the place and we walk around, and then I don't know, we go get something to eat and then come back after nightfall, and then kind of see if anything pops up.
Yeah,
which it won't. I mean, it probably won't. It's not gonna happen every night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, most of my job is looking at absolutely nothing. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
That's the kind of job I need to get. That's what I need to in this whole life change I'm going through.
You go out to these fucking places, you read all the stories about this place, you fucking go out there, you're hyped, you're like, oh shit, it's gonna be crazy, and then you get there and fucking nothing happens.
Right. Well, let's see if we can connect with those kids. And then also, it wouldn't be a bad idea to see if there's some kind of descendant of that farmer, because that person might have somebody that's around. That was only, I guess it was 50 years ago, but still, there could be a grandkid or something that had heard the story firsthand, or it was passed down or talked about or something.
I'm very curious about the farmer story because nobody ever talks about it with this.
Right. No, I didn't see it. I mean, I didn't exhaustively research this topic, but I mean, I did some digging, and no, I didn't hear about that either. And it's a nice piece of corroborating evidence. It's the same time as the cop, because the cop that guy recanting fucks up the whole 1970s part of
It
this.
does, yeah.
You
It
know, but
does.
I don't trust it. It sounds like bullshit to me. And if you could bring up the farmer, he's I think he makes a stronger counterpoint, and it really puts the cop story to bed. But it also adds more fuel to the conspiracy angle that like there's something making really an effort here to like quiet this story down
Yeah.
or discredit the story.
Yeah.
You know.
I agree. No, I agree with you, and I think that would be a good one to really dig into, because I do feel like that there's probably something to it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
very, it's like the Veggie Man. It's so fucking weird. Who makes that shit up? You know?
Well, you gotta save him for the sequel, or you do it. It's a different movie, and then you do a shared universe and the Veggie Man and the Frog Dude. But I just like the Frog guys as like,
We could do like Frogman versus Veggie Man.
yeah. But I mean,
Yeah.
what is the Veggie Man? What's his line? What's his fucking
This line.
his tagline? He says something. I'm gonna drink your blood or some shit.
He doesn't even say that. He's like, I need help. Will you help me? And then he's like, yeah. He's like, I won't hurt you. And then he fucking sinks his goddamn needle fingers into the dude and sucks his blood and with his hypno eyes. That's a sweet monster design right there. A fucking
Yeah,
vegetable leaf man with needle fingers and hypno eyes.
yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying. I think that
A lot less redeemable of a character.
So you could take the 3 frogmen against the 1 vegetable man, because the vegetable man's tall. He's like 7 feet tall or some shit. And like you could take the 3 against the 1, and like the frogmen are using like their wands and magic and shit, and the vegetable man just has like his needle fingers.
Well, you make the Vegetable Man the bounty hunter, and he's in pursuit of the frog guys, who are just they're gallivanting across the multiverse as part of a bachelor party or a guy's weekend. Or
Yeah, yeah.
And they wind up and they heard Cincinnati, Ohio is a good place to fucking, let loose. And
good place to do meth. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think.
Or they were aiming for Dayton and they took a left turn at Albuquerque and got a little lost. Fucking coming to visit Ashers.
The cops tried to chase him down. Yeah, I'm in there. I'm like, don't come to my house. You're not real lizard people.
Man, you're even gonna emasculate them, aren't you?
Of course, that's what I do. But I'm very nice and approachable and not intimidating at all. So,
right.
That's what I tell people anyway. Anyway, that's the basics of the Loveland Frog. Again, it's not a very long story. There's not a lot to it, but what is there is special.
I would have to agree, definitely.
There's also, I'll just mention it real quick. There's a weird rock garden castle in Loveland, Ohio. And I know that sounds like it probably doesn't tie into the story at all, but maybe it does. Maybe having all those rocks in a fucking castle formation made a portal, or maybe not.
Depending on where the rocks are from originally and what they're made of. I mean, crystals are resonators; they're energy magnifiers. Yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible if those rocks were brought over from immigrants from somewhere. I mean, I just assume everyone in the Midwest is German except in Chicago, so maybe it's like those rocks were fucking druid shit that was brought over from the old country, arranged in a special way, and with the dragon lines, of course. How can we forget the dragon lines that happen to run through the Midwest? Created some kind of portal where these 3 frog people got lost, and luckily, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I haven't looked to see when the Loveland Castle was built. I hadn't really thought about it until just now. But I mean, yeah, that's a place too. That's a thing. We could check that out too while we're there, just in case.
We should totally plan a meetup for. I would really like to go there. I just think sincerely. Like I have like a weird Ohio like punch list where I want to do the Serpent Mound. I know I always talk about that on here, but I would love to visit Frog Country and then do the Serpent Mound one weekend or something. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
I agree. I think we should do it.
Especially since my time is short.
That's true. We got to get the most out of you when we can. You got lots of cryptids that you got to kill. So
no, I don't know if I'd even kill the frogs. I let them go.
That's the one you got the soft spot for, is the
right. I'm gonna fucking shoot a frog for
I
her.
love how hard you're going for these frogmen.
I want to shoot a dog, man. Like hunting werewolves is completely different. I'm a natural born werewolf hunter. That is fucking in my blood. That goes back generations. That's I'm
What
a
about
seventh son
Bigfoot?
of a seventh son when it comes to fucking werewolf hunting. But frogs, I mean, come on. The frogmen with their wands and their fucking articulate hand gestures and
I mean, they didn't hurt the guy,
no.
so like they just wanted to show off. I don't know. They're just like threatening. It's like possums are completely harmless, but they'll hiss at you and shit. It looks mean, but they're not.
Right.
It was their possum move.
Right. And then these guys are playing Pokemon Go and just
Fucking come across the frog,
right.
man. Yeah.
In the water, like, what are you doing?
I know he didn't hurt them either. Yeah.
He's taking a dump and looking for fish.
Just living his best life on the Little Miami River. Oh my gosh. That was also the same river where that shark head was found at. And I talked about that not too long ago.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's a gross. People dump a lot of bodies there. I don't know. I mean, there's that too. But anyway, I guess I'm done with the frogman. You got any closing remarks there?
I got nothing.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about a meetup and we'll see about doing the the meetup thing. This week's password, frogman. That's what it is. And that's it, guys.
Pan of baked ziti.
Pan of baked ziti. Okay, you know what? Never mind. This week's password. Now I really know if you listened. Is going to be a pan of baked ziti. That's what it is.
There you
That's
go.
what it is. Well, okay. With that being said, guys, we'll see you back here next Wednesday.